You ever felt it? That gut pull when someone hugs you and your spirit whispers, something's off. That invisible weight when you enter a room full of people who claim to love you, but the energy feels predatory, not paranoid, not dramatic, but divinely aware. See, being chosen isn't a title, it's a spiritual assignment. And with that assignment comes exposure, not of you, but of them. You didn't imagine the betrayal. You weren't too sensitive. And no, it wasn't just a joke. They had agendas, calculated silence, strategic absence, backhanded support that was more like spiritual sabotage. They didn't come to build with you. They came to monitor you, to delay you, to discredit you before destiny could reveal you. But what they didn't realize was you were never unprotected. You were watched by heaven. Every false alliance, every snake in your circle, every whisper campaign behind your back, God documented all of it. He let them dig pits so he could make them fall in. They thought you were naive, that your silence was weakness. But they didn't know your silence was a courtroom. And God was both judge and witness. Now the veil is off. The masks are cracked. The game is over. God didn't just expose their hidden agendas. He served them. Publicly, intentionally, strategically. So if you've been wondering why certain people are losing access, why some are suddenly uncomfortable around you, why doors are closing for them but opening for you, it's not coincidence, it's justice. You're not crazy, you're called, you're not bitter, you're blessed. And what's coming next isn't revenge, it's recompense. Stay with me. Because by the end of this message, you're going to understand why they came, why they had to be exposed, and why being chosen is the most dangerous blessing of all. Number one, they weren't against you, they were against what they could never become. They weren't really against you, they were against what you represent. Everything they secretly wish they could be, but never had the discipline, courage, or spirit to become. You didn't provoke their envy by doing something wrong. You provoked it by existing as a walking contradiction to their excuses. You became living proof that it can be done, that you can rise from nothing, that you can carry purpose and pain at the same time and still show up with power, and that exposed them. See, most people don't hate you because of your mistakes. They hate you because of how you kept rising after every fall, because you didn't lose your mind in the storm, because you didn't become bitter when you had every reason to. You remind them of what they could have been if they had obeyed God like you did, healed like you did, sacrificed like you did. And that kind of reminder is unbearable to someone who chose comfort over calling. So they attack your character, your choices, your progress. Not because it's flawed, but because it's real. You earned your growth. You fought for your peace. You prayed through pain they wouldn't have survived. And instead of being inspired by your transformation, they made you their target, because deep down they know it wasn't luck. It wasn't a shortcut. It was obedience. It was submission. It was faith in seasons that crushed them. That's why they gossip in circles you don't even sit in. Why they question how you got there like it wasn't earned. Why they pretend they don't see you when your name is on the room. It's not that they hate you. They hate the version of themselves they'll never meet. And every time you walk in the room, they're forced to confront that. They weren't against you. They were against the truth your life told without saying a single word. Number two, their access was a test, not a gift. Some of the people God allowed into your life weren't sent to bless you. They were sent to expose themselves. Their access was never meant to be permanent. It was a setup, a test, and not to see if you could trust them, but to show you why you never should have. God let them get close so you could see what they would do with the access. Because truth is, the ones who shouted, "I'm here for you," the loudest were often the same ones quietly rooting for your failure. You thought their support was solid, but it was conditional. The moment you started growing past their level of comfort, the cracks began to show. They became distant, passive-aggressive, competitive. You weren't just someone they knew anymore. You became a threat to the version of themselves they were still pretending to be. And God let it happen. Not to break your heart, but to break the illusion. Sometimes He has to allow the betrayal, just so you'll stop handing trust to people who only showed up to study you. He let them speak in private what they were too fake to say in public. He let their masks slip in moments you didn't expect. because you were too loyal to people who only loved your potential when it benefited them. And it's not that God didn't warn you, He just needed you to see it clearly. Because the calling on your life can't afford blind spots. The next level you're stepping into can't carry old baggage disguised as old friends. So He turned their access into evidence. He turned what you thought was connection into revelation. And now you know. They weren't your tribe. They weren't your covering. They were your lesson. And now that you've seen it for what it is, there's no going back. Their access wasn't a gift. It was a divine test. And thank God, you finally passed.